Well, hello, and welcome to the Cluebird. I'm your host, R. Wayne Browne. Today, I would like to discuss with you the idea of you thinking of yourself as a company and not a person. Think of yourself as president of You Inc. Oh, I hear you saying that it sounds silly, but share a moment with me and hear me out. We are probably very similar in that when we were young, we thought of ourselves only as a person. When asked who I was, I would always respond by saying, I'm my grandma's grandson, or someone's nephew or cousin, or that I lived in the small tan house down the street. For a long time, you probably answered those questions the same way as well. However, that answer didn't make me feel special in any way. I felt back then I was just a regular kid, just another person feeling normal and average. I fit in at school, minded my manners, and tried to be seen and not heard. Many of us probably felt the same way. Further, I'll bet many of us have continued feeling this way during our entire lives. However, what if you had thought of yourself as all of those things and additionally you thought of yourself as a business or a company that you were leading or running? What if you saw yourself as the CEO or president of you or your company? What if you were president of You Inc.? Well, the first thing that came to my mind is if I'm president of my You Inc., I better do a good job because I could get fired for doing a poor job running me. I see it all the time in the news that some president or CEO gets fired for doing a lousy job. So, thinking of me as president of me or my You Inc. seemed to instantly put pressure on me. I started thinking of how to better my station in life to improve me and keep my job. This conversation, it just reminded me of a job I had back in college, way back in college. I worked at one company in college for several years because I loved working there. It was run by a really tough, straight talking, honest guy, and I had tremendous respect and admiration for him. Thinking about him and how he ran his company gave me several insights. The first thing I remember was that he didn't own the company. He was the general manager, but he ran the company as if he owned it. We should take note of this and remember no matter what your job or position is in a company, learn from him. You should always think and act like an owner. Your actions will be so rare that you will stand out and most likely get promoted many times. Boiling it all down as to what made him special, he had as a fellow worker and manager, no matter what, consistent, never changing standards, disciplines, and clear intentions for all of us. As to his standards, he had several documents attached to the walls near the drinking fountain where we all seemed to congregate several times during the day. It included things that defined the minimums at work, what to wear, how to act, minimums that defined your job, and his chain of command. He went over these documents with me just like everyone else in detail when he hired me. We discussed every one of the items on his list. They were posted on the wall as a constant reminder of what was expected of us. I never once saw him violate his own work standards, not ever. Next was his list of disciplines. It was also very concise, and he once told me that most of his items on this list of disciplines were from observing behavior in his workplace that he wanted to eliminate. Examples of his list of disciplines could be boiled down into two lists. One was what to never do, not ever. Things such as being late, not calling in sick, or being a no-show at work, where to park, where to take a break, what to wear, be respectful to fellow workers, and on and on. The other list was what to always do. That list had things I remember such as work with pride, help your fellow workers, show respect when dealing with anyone at work, strive for excellence, exceed your work goals, and on and on. Finally, I remember he had clear intentions. With us as a group and with me personally, several times, he would always tell us how we were doing during the year. He would tell us if we were ahead or behind schedule. He would discuss costs and how to save. Every December, he would put us all together in a meeting and discuss the upcoming year in great detail, including new products, sales goals, cost controls, planned physical improvements to the factory, and on and on. Well, after college, this idea of being or acting as president of U Inc. was also presented to me in the military, especially the part about getting washed out or getting fired. So therefore, from these two distinct experiences that were close together in my life, I finally chose to become president of me for life. I became and have remained in my mind's eye president of my U Inc. For years, also, I have never forgotten that I can lose this job or get fired for non-performance. So back then, I sat down and wrote out my list of standards that as president I would never allow me to drop below. My lists were mostly minimums in health and physical conditioning, satisfactory performance standards both at work and home, minimums in helping others, and minimum times with charity and family. As to disciplines, once again, I started writing out in pencil my list of what I would never do no matter the circumstance, as well as the list of things that I would always do no matter. I started with never lie, cheat, or steal on one list, and identifying personal minimums that I would never drop below on another one. As to clear intentions, I started out writing down in great detail what I absolutely wanted to accomplish, not have, as president of my U Inc. 5 years out to the day. I wrote down everything I could think of that I wanted in my life 5 years from that day, no matter. I then filled in the 5 pages, each representing one of the 5 years working backwards from my 5-year destination. I filled in the necessary details and accomplishments that I would need to address to get me to my 5-year goals and keep my job as president of my U Inc. Hey, I love my job. I love getting goals accomplished. I love being successful, and I believe that in your hearts, you all feel the same way. So always think of yourself as someone's father or mother, as someone's kid or brother or cousin, nephew, niece, whatever. Never discount who you are personally and your sense of family. Own it and love it. However, additionally, like me, you might consider doing what I did a long time ago when the solar system was forming, according to my kids, and choose to become and act as the president of your U Inc. Become the CEO of your business, the business of being you. Set standards for you, set disciplines for you, and above all, establish clear-cut intentions to achieve for you and your family. And then, as your president, learn to love both you and your job. Become excellent at being your leader. Never let yourself down as you pursue, live, and experience for both you and your family your standards, disciplines, and clear intentions with the heart of a lion. Be your president with the feeling of being possessed. Become the victor you were born to become. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in today, and as always, I hope you got something useful out of our conversation. If you liked what you heard, remember, I'm the author of the book, The Clue Bird. Get your copy on Amazon today. Oh, hot tip. Until our next visit, I want you to think about the simple idea of living ahead of yourself. To be proactive with your life, not reactive.